I've tested so many wardrobe and styling apps. At this point, I've genuinely lost count. And most of them promise the same thing: personalized outfits, smarter shopping, and a clearer sense of your style. Lumi is one of the latest, with a 4.3 star rating and over 20 million registered users. And it claims to use AI to analyze your body shape, coloring, and preferences to create outfits, recommend what to buy, and take the guesswork out of getting dressed. But as always, I didn't just want to take those claims at face value, so I've gone through the app, tested the features, recreated some of the highest rated outfits, and even ordered a piece through the app to see what the shopping experience is actually like. Before we get into it, full disclosure, Lumi have paid me to review their app and make this video. But as part of that, I have full permission to share my honest experience, whether that's positive or negative. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, what I think it does well, where it falls short, and whether it's actually worth using, depending on where you're at in your style journey. Lumi is free to download, but it operates on a membership model with different tiers that unlock more features as you go. The core idea is that it uses AI to analyze your body type, color palette, and style preferences, then recommends outfits and lets you shop them directly through the app. A lot of people actually come across Lumi through social media ads, where you're taken through a quiz that promises personalized outfit recommendations, but in most cases, before you can actually access those results, you're prompted to sign up for a paid membership. Now, this is where my experience was a bit different. I wasn't actually able to sign up for membership at all. There was no clear button to proceed with payment, both in the app and on desktop, even though I genuinely tried to. Usually, it's very easy to sign up and spend money, and much harder to cancel. In this case, I was actively trying to pay and couldn't. I went back and forth with support. Responses were fairly quick at first, but didn't always address the issue properly, so some of it felt automated. Eventually, I was told it would be passed on to someone else, and then I didn't hear back for about 2 weeks. They did eventually send me a link that worked slightly better in that there was a pay button, but it directed me to a PayPal sandbox environment, which isn't a standard checkout and doesn't allow you to log in normally. I followed that up again, got a quick response saying it had been passed on, and then didn't hear anything further at the time of filming this. So at a certain point, I needed to move forward with filming, and this is as far as I was able to get with membership. Because I couldn't access membership or some of the more advanced features, this review is based on the free version of the app and what I was actually able to test myself. From there, let's get into how the app actually works in practice. Starting with the Home tab, this is essentially your main dashboard. At the top, you're taken straight into sections like your personal style book, which is actually one of the more in-depth parts of the app. You can explore outfits based on your color type, your body type, and your style type. When you go into your color type, it walks you through your color season with clear explanation. You can also access color combinations and outfit examples. My only issue here is with how the app determines your color type. The quiz is very basic. It only asks for eye color, hair color, and skin tone. And based on that, it typed me as a bright winter, which I don't personally think is accurate. I've been typed as a soft summer in other apps, but without a proper color draping, I can't say that that's correct either. It's possible the app is right, but given how basic the quiz is and the limited inputs it uses, I'd question how accurate it really is. The body type section follows a very similar structure. You get education on your shape, guidelines on how to dress for it, and practical examples. Then underneath, you get outfit recommendations tailored to that body type. And then the same again for your style type. This is where I think things get a bit limiting. The app assigns you a single style label, like casual or boho. But in reality, most people don't fit into just one category. This is why I personally prefer something like the 3-word method, where your style is a combination of influences rather than just one label. After that, final sale and most popular, which immediately push you towards browsing outfits. There are articles like what to wear in transitional seasons or styling tips for different situations. This leans back into that education side of the app. At the bottom, there's an option to book a call with the product manager in exchange for a shopping discount, which again ties back into that shopping-focused model. In the top corner, throughout the app, you've got your wish list and your shopping bag. And then in the bottom corner, there's an AI Stylist feature. This is essentially a chat-based tool where you can ask for styling advice, outfit ideas, or recommendations based on your profile, so your body type, color palette, and preferences. I decided to push it a bit and see how personalized it actually is in real use. When I asked it to describe my style, the response sounded nice, but felt quite broad and not especially specific to me. I then asked it to style some pieces I already own, and it did remember details from earlier in the conversation, which is a good sign. But the actual outfit suggestions felt quite similar to what you'd get from something like ChatGPT. Helpful, but not particularly unique or elevated. When I pushed it further, it didn't always use the exact pieces I mentioned and seemed to rely more on keywords than actually styling the item itself. I also tested things like budget, color palette, and occasion, and it wasn't always consistent. Some outfits didn't match the budget, and others didn't really align with the colors or style I'd asked for. And when I asked why an outfit suited me, the explanation sounded good, but was quite general and could apply to a lot of people. So it responds well, but it doesn't yet feel truly personalized. Next up is the shopping tab. You've got a search bar at the top and then just a huge feed of outfits. The app doesn't really function like a typical shopping platform where you browse individual items. Everything starts as a full outfit. You can tap into pieces and explore similar items or see how they're styled in other looks, but the starting point is always a complete outfit rather than building something yourself. By default, everything is sorted by what the app calls most relevant, so outfits that match your color season, body type, style preferences, and likely things like your budget and brand preferences as well. So this is very much AI driven. It's trying to show you what it thinks suits you best. Although interestingly, even though these are ranked by relevance to me, I didn't find many of the outfits particularly aligned with my personal style. You can also sort manually by price, newest, or best selling. But the main selling point here is really that personalized filtering. In the filters, you can adjust things like price, sizes, body type, style, and colors. There's also an option to include accessories, bags, and shoes in the total price. And this is worth noting because if you don't have that selected, the outfit price can look a lot lower than what you'd actually pay for the full look. When you click into an outfit, you get a few different views. An AI rendered version on a model, a flat lay of the actual pieces, and then individual product shots. Sometimes those can look quite a bit different from the rendered version, so it's not always a perfect representation. You also have a try-on feature. This lets you upload a full body photo and it places the outfit onto you. The results really depend on the quality of the photo you upload. My face looked a little off at times, but overall it does give you a decent idea of how the outfit might look on your body. If you want to purchase, you can add the entire outfit to your bag or select individual pieces and the app automatically assigns your sizes based on the measurements you gave during setup, as long as they're in stock. This does make the process feel very quick and easy, especially if you're someone who prefers a more done-for-you shopping experience. If you're outside of the US, you'll see a message saying, "We don't deliver to your country yet." Even though I was told I couldn't order, I was still able to add items to my bag and complete a purchase, and my order did eventually arrive. So the messaging around availability felt a bit inconsistent and unclear in practice. Each outfit also comes with a percentage match score, and if you tap Learn More, It breaks down how it aligns with your style, your color type, and your body shape. On paper, this sounds quite precise, but what I found in practice is that an outfit can score highly overall, even if one of those categories doesn't fully align with you. So it's less, this is perfect for you, and more, this matches some of your selected attributes. And when I tested the system over time, liking the outfits that felt closer to my style and disliking quite a few others, I didn't notice a strong shift in what I was being shown. So while the matching system looks very personalized, in practice it feels more like layered tagging than a learning style algorithm that significantly adapts over time. There's also information on delivery and returns. Delivery is estimated around 5 to 7 days, and many brands offer free returns within 15 days. They do seem to be using well-known brands, so I wouldn't expect major issues there. But again, I wasn't able to fully test returns myself. Next is the My Plan tab, and this is essentially the education side of the app. It's set up like a guided learning pathway that you work through step by step. You move through a series of connected modules and you can't skip ahead, but you can revisit completed sections later. So it's very structured and linear in how it teaches. There are lessons covering things like your shape profile, color identity, style types, outfit formulas, and general styling foundations. The content is split into different formats, including guides, articles, quizzes, and video lessons. The quizzes are actually a really strong feature because they test whether you're understanding and retaining the information, rather than just passively scrolling through it. What stood out to me is that the written content is generally very clear and well structured. The articles explain concepts in a really accessible way, and some of them do touch on using what you already own, with styling formulas and guidance on how to build outfits from your existing wardrobe. So there is an element of learning how to apply styling principles yourself. The video lessons follow that same pattern. They're very clear, easy to follow, and visually well put together with strong examples and subtitles as well, which I really appreciate when watching on silent. They also help explain the why behind certain styling choices in a way that feels quite intuitive and easy to understand. Visually, this section is one of the strongest. The images and diagrams are clean and easy to follow, and the before and after sliders are particularly effective at showing how silhouette and proportions change with different styling choices. I actually found some of the outfit examples in this section more interesting than what I saw in the shopping tab, which was surprising. That said, while there are useful elements around working with your existing wardrobe, a lot of the broader experience still leans towards buying fully styled outfits through the app rather than building outfits from what you already own. My plan starts off quite foundational, but it does seem to become more detailed and helpful as you move through it. But if you already have a strong understanding of style, parts of it might feel quite basic. Next is the Insights tab, and this is essentially a library of articles. At the top, it encourages you to pick a path based on your goals. So you can browse content around things like styling your body, finding your style, trends, and general styling advice. There are also sections tailored to your goals from onboarding. So for me, I chose a more work-focused style, so I'm seeing content geared towards that. I would say these are likely AI generated, but they are actually presented really well. The visuals and illustrations are clean, helpful, and do a good job of explaining the concepts. There is definitely some useful information in here. But personally, it's not something I'd spend a lot of time going through. I think this would be more valuable for someone earlier in their style journey. Lastly, we have the Profile tab, and this is where everything around your account, progress, and membership lives. In the top corner, you've got settings, which are quite minimal, mostly just notifications and password changes. At the top, there's a banner showing your current level and your available balance within the app. You can tap to see a breakdown of the different membership levels. And this is where the app starts to feel quite gated. For example, at lower levels, features are limited and you have to progress quite far up to signature level $100+ to actually access things like video sessions with a stylist. Some of the app's biggest features are locked behind progression. There's also a section explaining how you're meant to progress. 15% cash back from purchases goes into your balance, $1 added for every dollar spent on membership, and $10 added for every stage of the styling journey. However, this is where things became unclear for me. I've completed all units available to me, but I haven't received any balance. And it's not clearly explained what actually counts as a stage. So at the moment, I don't fully understand how you're meant to progress through the system as a user. There's also information about Lumi membership here. You can read through the details and terms, but I wasn't able to find a clear way to actually sign up for membership within the app. So again, this is one of those situations where a key part of the app exists in theory, but isn't something I could properly access or test. You can also access the full terms and conditions here, and as with any app involving payments, that's definitely something I would recommend reading carefully before signing up. So overall, the profile tab is where the app ties together progression, rewards, and membership. But for me, it also highlighted some of the biggest gaps in clarity around how the system actually works. So for the second part of this review, I wanted to test how this app actually translates into real life. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how good something looks in an app. What matters is whether it works in your wardrobe and helps you in real life. I wasn't able to access all of the features, but I was able to explore the outfit recommendations. So I decided to test those properly. What I've done is taken 5 outfits that Lumi ranked as some of the best matches for me, based on it typing me as a bright winter with an hourglass shape and a casual style personality, ranging from 96% down to 83%. And I've recreated them using pieces from my own wardrobe. The idea here is to see how wearable these outfits actually are, how well they reflect my personal style, and whether the app's match percentage really means anything in real life. I've tried to stay as close as possible to the original looks, but where needed, I've made small adjustments using what I already own, because that's realistically how most people would use something like this. The first outfit Lumi put together for me was a 96% match, which is about as high as I could find. For my version, I swapped the heels for ballet flats, wore a sleeveless knit crop top in a similar color, and used a different black bag. This outfit was very simple. It's not something I would usually put together myself. I'd normally consider it a bit boring. That said, it didn't look bad. It was actually quite flattering in terms of the colors and proportions. I wouldn't say it really reflects my personal style though. This is something I easily could have put together myself if I wanted to. There's nothing particularly new or innovative about it, but it is comfortable, easy to wear, and works well for a casual day. Interestingly, my Gen Alpha neighbor actually complimented the outfit, so maybe I'm not the target audience here. The next outfit was a 92% match. For my version, I wore a cable knit cream sweater over a long black linen dress. I tucked it into a belt to create that more cropped silhouette. I paired it with my white Skechers sneakers. I kept the same black bag and added shell drop earrings. This one didn't quite hit the same for me. I originally planned to wear a silk midi skirt, but the invisible zip broke at the last minute, so I had to pivot. The sweater also didn't sit the same way as it does in the app, but this outfit is fully AI generated, so it's possible it wouldn't fall like that in real life anyway. Again, it's a very simple outfit, and for me, it just lacks interest. There aren't enough accessories or styling elements to really make it feel like my style. It's not awful, but it's not something I'd reach for. The colors didn't feel particularly flattering on me this time, and the overall shape wasn't doing much either. The next outfit was an 83% match. For my version, I wore a white blouse, but didn't have a skirt quite like the one shown. I do have a plain white maxi skirt and a lacy white maxi, so I layered them together to get as close as possible to the look. My straw bag is very similar to the reference image, but I went a bit different with the shoes and wore my brown plaid Vivea bow flats. For accessories, I added a gold chain watch band to mimic the bracelet, a gold ring, and small gold hoops. The original didn't show earrings, but I just feel strange without them. I actually quite liked this one. It's still very simple in terms of colors and pieces, but I think my version feels a bit more interesting, especially with the layered skirt and the added accessories. I'm not completely convinced that white is my best color, but it's fine. The silhouette is a bit different as well, since I couldn't tuck the blouse in the same way. I definitely prefer my version to the original inspiration. This outfit was an 83% match. For my version, the trench coat, trousers, and hoops matched quite closely. The shirt was a bit trickier. I didn't have one with that built-in tie detail, which is quite important for creating that hourglass shape. So I tried to improvise by adding a tie over my longest white button-up shirt. I paired it with the closest white bag I had and finished the look with white tweed mules. This outfit definitely has more layering and visual interest compared to some of the others, but for me, it just kind of added extra bulk. I don't think it's particularly flattering on an hourglass figure. The colors are again very simple, all neutrals. I personally prefer a bit more variation and contrast in my outfits. Overall, I don't feel like this one really aligns with what I would expect for a bright winter palette either. This outfit was another 96% match. For my version, the black blazer t-shirt and pendant necklace matched quite closely. I also have a burgundy bag in a similar tone, although mine is a suede style fabric with chain detailing rather than the croc textured leather in the original. My black sneakers aren't as chunky and have some brighter color details, which isn't exactly the same vibe, but it's the closest I had. For the bottoms, I tried two options. One was keeping the track pants style with a pair of dark grey ones, and the other was keeping a similar color feel with my wide leg mint pants. I was actually quite excited for this one because it felt a bit more interesting than the others, especially with the mix of track pants and a blazer. I actually quite liked this one. It had like a really cool girl, like not really trying but still looking put together vibe. And the pops of color were quite nice. I would have had even more of them though, if I could have. And definitely would have added earrings. And I also don't think black is the most flattering color for me to have so close to my face, which potentially confirms the me not being a bright winter suspicion. What do you think? I also wanted to test the shopping side of the app. Even though it says it doesn't ship to Australia on most of the main pages, I noticed that when you actually go through the order process, it does say international delivery and that it ships to my country. So it seemed like I could still place an order. I decided to play it safe and just order one item, a skirt from one of the outfits that was rated a high match for me. I chose a brand that typically ships to Australia anyway. I didn't know if the order would get cancelled or just never arrive. But it did in fact arrive after 11 days. I haven't personally ordered from this brand before, so I can't compare shipping times, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. I will say though, I was a bit concerned after placing the order. When I went into my order history in the app, it actually said no orders yet. It was only when I clicked into a separate See History section that I could find it. And even then, I couldn't really track it properly. It kept coming up with something went wrong, please try again or contact support whenever I tried to click into it. So I was definitely a little bit on edge waiting for it to arrive, but I was very relieved when it actually showed up. I originally planned to order 2 full outfits through the app to properly test it, but even choosing some of the more affordable options, it was going to cost me around 730 Australian dollars. And this is something to be aware of. The prices shown in the app are in USD, not AUD, no matter what you set your location as, which isn't immediately obvious. So what looked like around $472 quickly turned into over 730 AUD once tax was added and the currency conversion kicked in. And because I didn't know if the order would even arrive, I just wasn't willing to risk that amount of money. And I saw this play out even with the one item I did order. The skirt was listed at $56 in the app. At checkout, an additional $6 in tax was added, and shipping was free, which I honestly didn't expect for international delivery. But what I didn't realize at first is that the pricing is in USD, not AUD. So once everything converted, the total came to around 89 Australian dollars. Out of curiosity, I looked up the exact same skirt on the original retailer's website, and it was listed at around 56 AUD there. Even factoring in shipping, it still likely would have worked out cheaper buying directly. So, it's convenient, but not necessarily the cheapest way to shop those items. As for the skirt itself, I'm actually really happy with it. It's a really unique piece, it feels well made and sturdy. And the size the app selected for me, a small, does fit. It is a little bit tight when I sit down. But I feel like if I sized up, it might actually be too big. So it's kind of that in-between situation. And a really nice surprise, it actually has built-in shorts underneath, which I love because it is very short. Definitely shorter than I would usually go for. So that makes a big difference. One of the big selling points of the app is that you earn credit or cash back when you shop, and that helps you level up. So I was really interested to see how that would work. At first, nothing happened. The credit didn't show up after I placed the order, but once the item was marked as delivered, it did come through. I got $5 credit for a 62 USD purchase. It looks like the credit is calculated before tax, not including it. Now that I know it actually arrives and the quality is good, I do kind of wish I had spent enough to reach the next level so I can test more features for you. But at the moment, I'm still on the first level, which is quite limited. As for the outfit I recreated with the skirt, I actually really like it. I even got a compliment saying I looked like Cher from Clueless, and another person told me they loved my skirt and that I always have the best clothes. I would say though, if I was styling this myself, I'd probably add more accessories. But overall, it's definitely a look I'd wear. So at this point, I'd tested the outfit recommendations and the shopping side of the app. But there was one feature I hadn't really tested in a real life way yet, the AI Stylist. So for my final outfit, I decided to test the AI Stylist by getting it to dress me for the day. I asked it to put together a work outfit for me, taking into account my body shape, color palette, style preferences, and using pieces I already own. I also gave it a bit of context around my work environment and what I'd typically want from an outfit. Because I'd mentioned some of my newer pieces earlier in the chat, it mostly pulled from those. Since it doesn't really have much of an understanding of your wardrobe, it kind of builds around whatever information you've given it. From there, it gave quite general suggestions at first, things like fitted tops and heels. So I had to go back and forth a bit, narrowing it down, giving it specific options from my wardrobe and getting it to choose between them. This is the outfit I ended up with. As I was building it, I was actually more optimistic about this one than some of the others. It felt a bit more layered, more interesting, like it had more going on. But wearing it, it's not a bad outfit, it works. But it doesn't really feel like me still. It also made a few choices I probably wouldn't have, especially with the accessories. For example, it paired a bag with gold hardware, but then styled everything else with silver jewelry. I'm not opposed to mixing metals, but it has to be very intentional. And overall, it was quite a process to get to this point. It wasn't just, here's your outfit. It was a lot of back and forth to refine it into something wearable. So while it can help guide you in the right direction, it's definitely not the most efficient way to get dressed. These are the main features of Lumi that I found most useful or interesting. The app uses very clear and informative images, illustrations, and sliders. They make it easy to understand style principles like body shape, color combinations, and outfit formulas. This clarity is one of the things that makes the app approachable and easy to navigate. The avatar try-on tool is a strong part of the experience. The outfits are rendered on your figure, giving a good sense of how they might look and helping you make more informed shopping decisions. The app makes it simple to order pieces from multiple retailers at once, with sizes pre-selected based on your inputs. You can quickly get everything needed for an outfit that works together without manually checking each item. The My Plan units and other educational content provide clear explanations about style, color, body shape, and outfit combinations. While not advanced for experienced users, this could be a helpful resource for beginners who want a structured introduction to style concepts. The pre-styled outfits in the shopping section are convenient if you want ready-to-wear looks, but this approach has some limitations. It encourages buying complete outfits rather than remixing pieces you already have, which can be less flexible, less sustainable, and not always financially practical. You're essentially following pre-made styles instead of discovering and experimenting with your own personal style. And then there are a few areas where I think the app could be improved. The progression system isn't very clear. I've completed multiple units but haven't seen any change in my balance, and it's not well explained what actually counts as a stage. So as a user, it's hard to understand how you're meant to move forward in the app. A big limitation for me is that the shopping feature isn't fully supported in Australia. Since that's a core part of how the app works, it really impacts how much of the experience you can actually use. The way the app determines your color season and style type feels quite basic and not very nuanced. And because so much of the app is built on those categories, if they're slightly off, the recommendations don't feel particularly accurate or exciting. Even though the app is designed to show outfits that match your preferences, I didn't find many of them particularly aligned with my personal style. I even tried manually adjusting my profile, changing my color type to soft summer, and updating my style preferences to be more creative and boho. But I still struggled to find outfits that felt like me or that I was genuinely excited about. So matching based on categories like body type and color doesn't always result in a true style match. There's no option to upload or work with your existing wardrobe. So the app is very focused on shopping-based styling, rather than helping you style what you already own. Some of the most valuable features, like access to a stylist, are locked behind higher levels. And without clear progression, that makes them difficult to access and properly test. I also couldn't find a clear way to sign up for membership within the app, which is something you would expect to be very straightforward as a user. So, taking everything into account, from how the app works to how it performs in real life, I feel like I have a pretty clear sense of where Lumi works and where it doesn't. This app is best suited to someone who is newer to style, who wants guidance and structure and done-for-you outfits, and who enjoys the convenience of being able to shop full looks quickly without having to think too much about it. It makes styling feel very accessible. The visuals are clear, the recommendations are easy to follow, and the overall experience is quite guided. But that convenience does come with trade-offs. The recommendations are only as strong as how the app categorizes you. In my case, it placed me into fairly specific color and style types, but those didn't fully reflect how I actually dress or what I feel most confident in. And because so much of the app is built around those inputs, if they're slightly off, the outfits don't always feel especially aligned or exciting. Even with the AI Stylist, which does add a more conversational layer, but the suggestions still felt quite similar to what you'd get from a general AI prompt, rather than something deeply tailored or stylist-led. Helpful, but not yet highly refined or consistently specific. And more broadly, because the app is so focused on pre-built outfits and shopping, it doesn't really teach you how to build a wardrobe or develop your own style in a flexible way. It's more about being given outfits than learning how to create them yourself. When I recreated the looks in real life, they worked in a general sense, but they still felt quite safe, quite simple, and not particularly like me. Another thing I did notice throughout the app, across the shopping, my plan and insights sections, is that there does seem to be a fairly wide range of representation in the visuals. You see different body sizes, ages, skin tones, and features across the outfit renders and examples, which makes the app feel more inclusive and less one-dimensional in how it presents style. There were also still a few areas that felt unclear in terms of progression and access. And while I couldn't fully test membership features, it wasn't always obvious how the system is meant to work in practice. That doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong, but it does mean I would take a bit of care and make sure you fully understand what you're signing up for before spending money. On the shopping side, I was able to place an order and it did arrive, and I was happy with the quality. But even that process highlighted some inconsistencies around pricing and clarity. So overall, I'd say Lumi works well as a starting point. It gives you ideas, structure, and fully styled outfits, essentially doing the outfit building for you. But I wouldn't rely on it to define your personal style or build a wardrobe long term. It sits more in that space of outfit inspiration and guided styling, rather than true personal style development. I'd say I'm probably not the target audience for this app, but for the right person, especially someone just starting out, it could still be a useful tool. If you've tried Lumi yourself, I'd love to know what your experience was like, especially if you've been able to access some of the features I couldn't test. And if you enjoy more practical, real-life styling content like this, make sure you're subscribed because I'll be testing more tools, apps, and methods to see what actually works beyond the screen.